One thing that stands out to me being a surrogacy attorney is that everybody has an opinion. Yeah, whenever there's a surrogacy story on the news, everybody has their side of the story and where they come down. But the question is, why is surrogacy so controversial? Well, let's look at it. Hello, I'm Corlandos Scott, and I'm a surrogacy attorney in Los Angeles, and my practice revolves around representing both surrogates and hopeful parents who are working with surrogates to grow families and make babies. And I love doing it. So in this video, we're going to cover the moral controversies of surrogacy, ethical controversies of surrogacy, and even some legal controversies of surrogacy, and see just why is it so controversial. Let's dive right in. So ethics and morals play a part in every aspect of life, and I wouldn't expect surrogacy to be any different. But is it morally correct to engage in surrogacy? Or to say it differently, is there anything immoral about surrogacy? Well, I think to answer that question, we have to answer the question of intention and motives. So we have to ask ourselves stuff like, why do surrogates do it? Questions like, why do intended parents choose to grow their family through surrogacy? Or why do doctors engage in helping people grow their family through surrogacy? So when we look at these questions, we find some common threads. And most, if not all, really, of the surrogates who I've ever worked with have always come from a place of service and, honestly, as corny as it sounds, love. The women who I've worked with and representing them as their attorney who are working as surrogates, they really genuinely want to help someone grow their family. One of the prerequisites of being able to be qualified as a surrogate is you have to have given birth to a child before. I mean, you wouldn't want to work with a woman who's never been pregnant, right? Or never had a delivery. So with that being said, surrogates are mothers of their own. And being a mother of their own, they desire to give that same joy, that same gift to someone else. So then we look at the question, why do parents engage in surrogacy? Well, I really think that gets at a base human core desire, which is the desire to procreate, the desire to be a parent, the desire to pass down your genes. I mean, I at least think that's at the core of humans. Otherwise, we really wouldn't have made it around so long. We'd probably be wherever the dodo birds are now. They're extinct, right? Yeah, I think so. And then we have the medical professionals, the doctors, the scientists who make all of this madness possible. And I've heard a lot of people talk about, these doctors, these reproductive endocrinologists, they're playing God. They're trying to create life. And so we have to ask ourselves, what is the intention of the doctors? Well, really, anywhere where there's a desire to be healthy, we've had doctors throughout the course of our history as humans help us obtain that health. And so when we see ourselves as a species running into infertility issues, which are really at their base soul a health issue, then we have doctors there to help remedy those health issues. And it should always be noted that nothing that doctors or reproductive endocrinologists or embryologists do actually create breathing, living beings. How do I know that? Because I can count the several heartbreaking attempts that I've experienced where I've worked with clients who have done all the right medical things and the pregnancy didn't make it. Or they've done all the right medical things and all the right scientific things, and we took all the same injections that the person before them or after them took, and it just didn't work out. And why is that? Because doctors don't create life. Doctors help us push forward the science that help us address medical issues, but at the end of the day, even if they wanted to, they can't be or play God. All they can do is help us with the medicine and the science. Now, some people argue that surrogacy is morally problematic because it causes harm, or at least they say it increases the risk of harm to the surrogate. And in their estimation, these medical risks that are involved in the process are the main reason why it's considered immoral. Well, this gets us to a base foundation question in both assisted reproductive technologies and human rights. Well, with the ART side of things, we have to look at when is it proper? And if you haven't watched my video on when it should be proper to have a surrogacy arrangement, make sure you go back and watch that one. But we talk about the fact that it should be medically necessary for us to engage in a surrogacy journey. We shouldn't just be doing this because we don't feel like carrying a baby, or we don't want to get stretch marks or gain weight or whatnot. There needs to be a medical necessity. But then on the other side of that, there is the right to a person's autonomy. And so the women who serve as surrogates, they have the right to engage in helping someone else, because as long as they're aware and they have informed consent and they give that informed consent, they should be allowed to do what they want with regards to medical procedures and with serving as a surrogate. So when we talk about the risks, in my estimation, the most important thing is to let surrogates know up front what risks are involved and allow them to make the decision for themselves. One of the biggest ethical arguments that we get against surrogacy is that hopeful parents, or these intended parents, are taking advantage of economically disadvantaged surrogates. They say these surrogates, they don't have the means or the finances to take care of themselves, and the only reason they're doing surrogacy is because they're getting compensated for it. So these parents are taking advantage of these poor women, these economically poor women, because they're flashing a dollar in front of them and saying, carry my baby so that you can pay your bill or pay your rent. Well, I don't buy this one either. No pun intended. For the professionals that I work with, and reputable professionals, one of the qualifications to serve as a surrogate has to be, or should be, that the surrogate is not on any type of government assistance, that this type of compensation that surrogates will get during the surrogacy arrangement is not her sole source of income or the only way in which she's maintaining her lifestyle. So even if she is a stay-at-home mom, there has to be some type of other income on which she's living daily. So when you talk about her being taken advantage of, this is really nipped in the bud by the fact that the surrogate, in a really proper surrogacy arrangement, I'll say, shouldn't be depending solely on the compensation she's receiving as being a surrogate. I know that surrogacy gets a bad rap sometimes, and some people absolutely love it, but I want to know what you think about it. So is surrogacy cool? Is it moral? Is it ethical? Should we be doing this? Are women being taken advantage of who are being surrogates? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to see what those comments say. And last but not least, we can look at even the legal controversies of surrogacy. One of the biggest legal issues that you hear talked about when you hear the subject of surrogacy is the right of a woman's autonomy over her body with regards to something else, with regards to preserving her life in the event that there is a complication to the surrogacy or the pregnancy, in other words. So legally, can you make a woman have an abortion? Can you keep a woman from having an abortion if she wants to have one? Well, the answer is no. As of this video, there was a Supreme Court case called Roe versus Wade that you may have heard of that says that a woman has the right to that type of autonomy with regards to abortion. Now, what you see in most surrogacy arrangements is the intended parents and the surrogate coming to an agreement on how to handle issues that could arise in the pregnancy with regards to abortion, termination, or even reduction of the pregnancy, let's say from triplets down to twins, or from twins down to a singleton. So here's how it works out legally. Can a surrogate be made or demanded to do a certain thing with regards to abortion or termination? The answer is no. She can't be forced. She can't be dragged into a clinic and made to have an abortion. She also can't be dragged out of a clinic and kept from having an abortion. But most times in that surrogacy arrangement, if you have a good surrogacy attorney that you're working with, there will be very, very, very clear language on what she will do in certain instances. So for instance, many of them are written like this. If there is an imminent danger or a substantial danger to the surrogate's life and health, she gets to make the call on whether or not to abort or reduce or terminate the pregnancy. However, If she is completely safe and healthy and there's absolutely no danger to her, but there is danger to the child, there is danger of a physical, physiological, genetic, chromosomal abnormality or defect, then the parents get to make the decision on whether or not to abort or reduce, and the surrogate agrees to cooperate with what the parent requests. Now, again, this is something that can't be specifically enforced. And what that means in legal terms is you can't drag her to the clinic and make her live up to that promise. But if she veered from that agreement that you guys had set, then she could be legally liable for damages because she broke her promise. Here's a silly, simple example. I agree to paint your house. You pay me $1,000 and I'm supposed to come to your house on Tuesday. Well, Tuesday rolls around and I don't come to your house and paint it. Now, you can't make me specifically perform. You can't handcuff me and drag me to your house and tie a paintbrush to my hand and make me paint your house, but you can sue me for breaking my promise. It's a similar concept. The surrogate can't be made to have an abortion or kept from having an abortion, but if she makes a promise and breaks that promise, she can be liable for breaking the promise. I hope that makes sense. So there will always be people who come down on both sides of the surrogacy debate, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. But typically people feel strongly one way or the other. So if you're thinking about embarking on a surrogacy journey and you're wondering where to start, I have something for you. It's called my 3T methodology. And this is going to give you the 3 things that you absolutely must have in place before you start any surrogacy arrangement. If any one of these 3 things is missing, your surrogacy journey is probably doomed to fail. I'll give you the first of the 3 T's. It's team. So start there, click below, and get the other 2 T's and find out exactly how these T's should be worked in order to give you the best shot at surrogacy success. I'll see you in the next video.